Okay. Had to turn you off for the elevator, though. It's kind of weird filming in the elevator. Someone else gets in there. All right, let's go outside. This is the lobby of the Hope Center, which is a pretty sweet facility that a lady by the name of June Hunt had built for ministries such as us and about 50 other ministries to office at, and it's all at cost. It's an incredible resource. But let's find a place out here in our prayer garden where we can sit. It's all sunny over here. Let's walk over here. While we're doing that, earlier this year, I went to a conference called T4G, Together for the Gospel. If you don't know what that is, go watch that video, but here's a quick little clip and picture from it. And I met a guy who works with ABWE, which is a mouthful. It's, well, I got it written down, Association of Baptists for World Evangelism. And he and I got to talking, and they have a podcast. It's really cool podcast resourcing missionaries and Christian leaders all over the world. And then we got to talking about, our speakers with Josh McDowell and him to come on that podcast and what that would look like. And a guy I used to work with at East West just walked by. They also office in this building as well. Anyway, so Josh was on that podcast. You need to go check that out. If you didn't see, the link is in the description. If you didn't see it in the email newsletter. So 3 prayer requests that I want to share with you guys. One is, I got them right here. One is that Sarah has been accepted into her graduate program, which is super exciting. This has been a long time coming. When we got married 3 years ago, she finished her undergrad, and she just works so hard at that type of stuff. Like, I am just constantly impressed. Then once she finished, took a year, worked, saved up, and we now have all of our student debts paid off, which is incredible. And she started applying to graduate programs and got accepted into Texas A&M Commerce. The next prayer request is about our 2 little nieces. Sarah's sister had twins, and super exciting there. They are so adorable. Their names are Nora and Indy, but they were born premature, like very, very premature. I think even before 30 weeks. I think it was like 28 weeks. Might have that wrong, but one of them, Nora, is at home with them now. She weighs like under 5 pounds. And Indy is still in the hospital. They were both in the NICU for a very long time. But the praise is that Indy is now healthy enough and strong enough to be held by her parents and to start have some of that bonding. So that's incredible. The next prayer request is for a group of college students that I've been helping lead. Neighbor across the street, works at a church down the way as a worship pastor. We were at a block party, and he mentioned that he wanted to start a summer college group. Check out some of this footage of us doing that at his house and at our house. And they all just went back to school. Well, most of them did. And so just pray for college students who are going back to campus right now. I had a conversation with a college student the other weekend who was not a believer, and a lot of the just worldview and philosophy that a lot of young people have these days is, I graduated from college, almost 10 years ago, and that seems like it was yesterday, and it wasn't what it is today. It's different. A lot of this woke mentality is very different. With this college group, we went through More Than a Carpenter, which is one of Josh's most well-read, well-known books, and it was incredible going through it with them. I got to see them grow ask incredible questions, but just pray for college students, especially young believers who are in college, that they would hold strong to their faith and that God would put them into just incredible Christian communities, to give them that spiritual safe place, like just refuge, if you will. It's a crazy world. So pray for college students right now. Okay. Now I want to do a little devotional, and I'm going to set you down over here. Something I've been doing in my just Bible study time is starting to ask the question, what does Jesus say? I've found myself getting almost caught up in what so many other people say, what this preacher or that preacher or this spiritual leader say. And I have found that in discipling other people and in my own time of study in the scriptures, asking the question, what does Jesus say, is a very grounding question to ask. It's a very healthy starting point to start with the red letters. And there's one instance in particular when Jesus was approached by the religious leaders with a trick question. They asked him, what is the greatest commandment? Now, a little bit of context, why this is a trick question, let's break it down. What are they talking about? The greatest commandment, the greatest law. They're talking about the law of Moses, right? Now, for reference, God creates Adam and Eve, gives them one rule. They break that one rule and sin enters the world. So then God gives Moses the 10 commandments. When Moses passes that on to Aaron, then the Lord gives the Levitical law through the priests, which is clarifying the 10 commandments. The Levitical law has over 600 laws. And by the time we get to the Pharisees and religious leaders, they have clarified the Levitical law with rules and traditions. And if you broke one of the rules or traditions, that is like breaking the law, the entire law. You break one, you break it all. So the question, which is the greatest commandment, the greatest law, is a trick question because they're all technically equal by that standard. So Jesus responds by calling back to something called the Shema, which in Deuteronomy, we see it in verse 6, which is essentially summing up the entire law. It's this summary of everything, the purpose behind it all. And Jesus calls back to it, and he says, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. That is shocking. Shocking. That would be like saying every tax code hangs on a simple statement like this. Like, that's the type of complexity the Levitical law and the Pharisaical traditions had. It's so easy for us to overcomplicate things and to think it's so easy for us to overcomplicate things and to lose sight of what really matters in our Christian calling as the church. And this is something that I want us to remember, is the Shema and what Jesus calls us back to here. And to remember that under these two things, love God and love others, the entire law and the prophets are fulfilled. Take your own time to meditate on that. The Great Commandment is found in Matthew 22. And The Shema is found in Deuteronomy 6. And I want to end with this. As Paul said to Titus in Titus chapter 3, to be ready for every good work. Be ready. Be ready. I love you guys so much, and always remember what God is doing in your life and through your life. I'll see you next month.